Welcome to Surrender School.
At Surrender School, we recover. Our mission is to share 12-step and 12-step and other supportive recovery solutions with those who want a healthy relationship with food. We are not an official 12-step meeting, but we do try to adhere to the spirit of the traditions. If Surrender School has helped your recovery, please donate. And you can find the donate button at the bottom of the website's front page. And if you'd like to help out with Surrender School, there are lots of opportunities. If you're passionate about anything, that always helps to do service in an area that you love. So contact Lori B on WhatsApp, or you can contact her. And then also, please feel free to contact me, and I will actually have my number at the end, and then will just refer to the people that I need to get a hold of for that. And then there is a WhatsApp group, and this is the link to join that. I've tried this QR and it works. So this is 12 steps in 12 weeks. This is actually week 4, and the agenda is we're going to do prayers, reading, and my experience on the step. Today it's actually going to be a story. It's not actually my experience. And then writing for 5 minutes and sharing till 1 o'clock. And some of the readings are going to be from the big book, from the AA 12 and 12, and then from the OA 12 and 12. And then if you have some writing material to journal, that's great. Today we're going to be doing some journaling. So I'm going to get us started with the set aside prayer. And this is all from my spiritual toolkit from the AA steps. So the set aside prayer. And I'm going to go ahead and breathe 3 times in and out. All right, and if we can go ahead and maybe rub your feet on the floor to try to get grounded, put your hands together to feel this body that we're in. The set aside prayer. God, today help me set aside everything I think I know about you, everything I think I know about myself, everything I think I know about others, and everything I think I know about my own recovery, so I may have an open mind and a new experience with all these things. Please help me to see the truth. And the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Thy will, not mine, be done. And I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing here. And welcome. So this is week 4. And I want to go ahead and just read from the 12 and 12. Step 4 is we made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. And today I had the I have like a daily reader that I read every day that I adore. And it was about actually cleaning out your house, and it was about the joy of housekeeping and spring cleaning because it's May 22nd. And it says clearing out what isn't useful or beautiful. William Morris said, have nothing in your homes that you do not know to be useful and believe to be beautiful. And then in this whole Marie Kondo says that we do everything for joy. So whenever you clear out your home, you do it for joy, not for dread, not for misery, not for just that limited thinking. She says that there's an opportunity to learn from all things in your life, including the ones that you discard. Marie tells us thinking deeply about each item you discard will affect how you live and acquire new things moving forward. So, what I like about that is that we are at step 4, right? Which can be daunting for anybody. I don't know if this is anybody's first time to do a step 4. It really doesn't matter. We're going to kind of incorporate both. So, I'm going to start us out on the big book. I have a cover on my big book, but it's on page 63. And I'm going to breathe and read. Next, we launch out on a course of vigorous action, the first step of which is a personal house cleaning, which many of us may never attempted. Though our decision was a vital and crucial step, it could have little permanent effects unless at once followed by a strenuous effort to face, to be rid of, the things in ourselves which had been blocking us. Our liquor was but a symptom, so we had to get down to causes and conditions. And this morning, what I did after reading about the housekeeping, I took a little drawer because she says that like every room in our house has a drawer of junk. So I took my little desk drawer and I said, I can handle a little tiny desk drawer, right? I can handle a little bitty thing. So I went ahead, emptied that, cleaned it, and now I have one clean desk full of only useful things that give me joy that I love. So keep reading from the big book. Therefore, we started upon a personal inventory. This was step 4. The business which takes no regular inventory usually goes broke, or our house becomes a disaster. Taking a commercial inventory is a fact finding and fact facing process. It's an effort to discover the truth about the stock in trade. One object is to disclose damaged or unsellable goods, to get rid of them properly and without regret. If the owner of the business is to be successful, he cannot fool himself about values. And whenever I was doing the work in this just little desk, I realized that some of the things were like Amazon purchases that I'd bought, but they were like the batteries or a portion of another little gadget that I bought that I didn't need that anymore. And I didn't have the original gadget anymore. So what I'm left with is the part of me that is valuable.
Sorry.
And it says that it's a fact finding and a fact facing process. But somebody said that it's like a searching and fearless. So, this is the searching and fearless moral inventory that we do. And I liked that. The fact finding is searching, the fact facing is our fearlessness. And when you're doing any kind of cleaning work, it's not fun. I mean, for some people really enjoy it, and some people love doing a 4 step. I really do like doing this, all the steps in a year. And one of the most valuable things that my sponsor ever told me was that, listen, this isn't a once done, once over. And I think all of us have this fantasy that we're going to enter into a program and it's going to fix us and we're going to do the steps. Oh, there's steps. Okay, there's just only 12. Oh, even better. And then, the fourth one is kind of difficult, but then it's just going to be downhill and we're never going to have to do the steps again. Well, I really wish that for you. To keep reading, we did exactly the same thing with our lives. We took stock honestly. First, we searched out the flaws in our makeup which caused our failure, being convinced that self manifested in various ways was what had defeated us. We considered its common manifestations. Um, Resentment's the number one offender. It destroys more alcoholics than anyone else. From it stem only forms of spiritual disease. For we've not only been mentally and physically ill, we have been spiritually sick. When the spiritual maladies overcome, we straighten out mentally and physically. In dealing with resentments, we set them on paper. We listed people, institutions, or principles with whom we were angry. We asked ourselves why we were angry. In most cases, we found that our self esteem, our pocketbooks, our ambitions, our personal relationships, including sex, were hurt or threatened. So we were sore. We were burned up. On our grudge list, we set opposite each name our injuries. Was it our self esteem, our security, our ambitions, our personal or sex relations which had been interfered with. And then it gives this example in page 65 of that. So I'll tell you guys one of the most helpful ways that I have done as step four for me, this does not have to mean you, is just getting a little tiny paper because man, I could write volumes about how offended I was at the things people had done to me. The first time I ever took a four step, um, my very gentle sponsor had told me how to do it and I understood, but I still wanted to blame everybody else, right? I really wanted to get deep into that story of how I was the victim. As a matter of fact, I did many step fours before I ever really admitted that anything was my fault. I thought I had been this sweet person that had gone through life and that everybody was just was everybody was harming and I was being harmed by everybody else. And really that's easy for somebody that does not say anything and just eats themselves into an oblivion. It's super easy. I was a hard worker. I tried to be a daughter. I tried to be a good wife at some points in my marriage. And it was really hard to see where I was the problem. And like the Taylor Swift song, I have come to find out the problem is me. And it's due to these. And doing it on this little index card is a good way to just say, the problem is I have, it is the problem is this. So I didn't want to forget to just be helpful if nobody had done a four step inventory. One of the helpful things that I found much later, I don't know if anybody can do this right out the gate. Listen, props to you. If you can do the 12 and 12 of Overeaters Anonymous, if you can read page 25, and if you can do an inventory of all of these things. How have I been self centered? How have I been angry and resentful? How have I been fearful? False pride, dishonesty. How have I been dishonest? Negative thinking. Oh, goodness. Shame, guilt, sexual attitudes and behavior. That one horrified me. I was horrified by even reading these, right? I mean, I was horrified. And yet the more you do these, the more you become so like willing to just do what is necessary to get rid of the clutter, right? Get rid of the clutter. The first time going through, you may say, well, no, I really love that shirt. It's great. It looked good on me a long time ago, and I'm going to keep it because I might be able to look good in that again. And then by the 10th time you clean out the closet, you're like, I am sure that that is not for me. So I wanted to read this story, and the story is from the Eating in the Light of the Moon book. It's a really interesting story, and I just it's a couple pages, and it is a little bit long, but I think that maybe we can maybe identify it. So with kind of doing this four-step inventory. So it's on chapter 10, nurturance, mother as an archetype. Once upon a time in a magical kingdom by the sea, there lived a beautiful princess who led a very charmed life. Her father, the king, was an intelligent, creative man who spent most of his time coming up with new ideas for making things better. His kingdom prospered, and the people in the kingdom were pleased with him because their lives were so successful. He was a good father and loved to teach the princess new things. She learned her numbers and letters under his tutelage and often impressed him with her cleverness. The young princess enjoyed spending her mornings with her mother, the queen, who is a very wise and loving woman. Often they would rise early and go to play in the forest with the gnomes and forest creatures. Sometimes in the afternoon they would visit nixies and mermaids down by the sea as they swam with the dolphins and fish. On special nights when the moon was full, they would visit the stars and dance with the fairies in the moonlight. One day, this enchanted life came to an end. The queen died, and the young princess was beside herself in grief. She cried and cried. She wouldn't eat for days at a time. The king had his chefs serve up the finest dishes in an attempt to nourish her, and this only made her angry. Although he was a good and kind man, the king was frightened by the intensity of his daughter's feelings and tried to distract her from her grief. He invented elaborate playthings that eventually became the largest amusement park the kingdom had ever seen, but to no avail. He brought home other women to become her mother, but the little princess rejected them all as politely as she could. The king eventually gave up trying to console his daughter and went about his business of running the kingdom. The years came and went. The princess no longer ventured beyond the walls of the castle. She could no longer see the gnomes, fairies, or nixies. She forgot the language of the forest animals and how to communicate with flowers and plants. Have you been here where you're so there was once this beautiful creature inside of you that somebody saw. Maybe you didn't see it, but after you were in your food addiction long enough, you lost. I lost my will to live. Occasionally she would sigh when she heard the wind blow through the trees or cry when the moon was full, but she no longer understood these feelings or where they came from. Although her appetites returned, life held no passion. She ate, she slept, she ate, she slept. The princess spent the rest of her time playing with her elaborate toys that became more and more sophisticated as she grew older. She continued to impress others in the kingdom with her bright and quick mind and the clever ways she used numbers and words, but she never regained her sense of life and vitality. She had long since recognized how it distressed her father for her to be unhappy, so she became quite adept at feigning joy and happiness. One morning on her 21st birthday, she awaked and something was different. Colors seemed brighter, her senses more finely tuned. Instinctively, she ran to her window to behold the most beautiful rainbow she'd ever remembered seeing. The scent of the roses and gardenias from the garden below wafted upward, and she was captivated by their fragrance. She stood transfixed by the warmth of the sunlight on her cheeks. I am alive, she cried. Throwing on a robe, she dashed outside and ran through the blood forest, feeling its damp coolness on her skin and inhaling its pine and musty scent deep in her lungs. She ran until she breathlessly came to the ocean, where at the water's edge she threw herself down on the sand and cried, "Where is my mother?" She cried as her tears mingled with the water from the ocean. "I am here," a voice replied. The princess was startled. The voice seemed to come from deep inside of her and all around her all at the same time. "Who are you?" the princess asked in amazement. "I'm your mother," replied the voice. "Why did you not answer me before when I called for you over and over?" the princess asked, her natural curiosity returning as she expressed her frustration. "Because," the voice replied, "in an attempt to cope with your grief, you shut down your heart and I could no longer reach you. Now you are open and awake, so we can commune once again." "Why did you leave me?" the princess asked. "There were many lessons you needed to learn that you could learn best in my absence. From your pain, you learned compassion. Your anger gave you clarity and the strength you needed to endure. Your loneliness taught you self awareness. By experiencing your greatest fears, you learned courage." The voice became quiet as the princess listened to the sound of her own breathing and the waves lapping on the shore. She felt a great sense of peace come over her. "May I come back and visit you here?" she asked. The voice chuckled warmly. "My dear girl, I don't live here. I'm everywhere. I'm in the sea and the flowers. I'm in the stars that shine at night. I am in your breath. I'm in your tears. I am your mother, and I will never leave you." And that to me is a great story for transforming a very incredible fear, which is possibly doing your four-step inventory. We've all lost our mother or our father. It doesn't matter what it is. We've all lost that guiding light that understands how to eat, that decided to take up the food instead of another thing. So, in the 12 and 12, one of the things that I really like in step 4 is it says that it's a process of increasing honesty and awareness that will gradually free us from our bondage of self. This story was about somebody who was protected and had obviously the perfect mother and perfect father. If y'all had that, I am so happy for you, but I don't know anybody in this program that's had that. And instead, we search fearlessly, and a lot of times the food has done that perfectly. I felt more safe, more nurtured, more loved in a room by myself eating sugar, flour, and wheat than almost in any other circumstance in my life. I felt so comforted. I have felt comfort a couple of times in my life. I mean, like real comfort, like just like that was exactly what you needed to be nurtured and loved. I never felt that from my actual, in my actual family of origin. So, but food did it perfectly. So, in this, when we're doing this step 4 inventory and we're asked, I'm just going to pick up when have I taken money, food, or other things that didn't belong to me? In what situations have I borrowed things and not returned them? I'll tell you, when have I taken food? So, when I was a little girl, um, my mother studied the Bible with people, and she did this very well. She was a great teacher. And one of her people that had asked her voluntarily to come and study the Bible with her, I stole her bubble gum. So I was the child of this person that was supposed to be representing this religion, and I'm in the other room stealing her bubble gum. Years later, this was before program. I had the sense to know that I should be an honest person, but I didn't have the ability to be able to do a real, I think it's step 8 or step 9. I didn't have the ability to really go and humbly tell somebody, I am sorry for the behavior. So years later, I saw her at church. I hadn't seen her in ages, and I just laughed. I was like, "Oh my God, when I was a kid, I stole bubble gum from you. Ha 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 ha." And she dead looked in my eye, and she was not, it was not a joke to her. And she's like, "Yeah, you did. I know that." And what that taught me is that my behavior, as young as I was, as one of the, it was harmful to this woman. In my step work, what I did about that, because I haven't seen her for a long time, I decided to put like $40 in my purse, right? Because at the time, I may have stolen 2 packs of gum from this, maybe not, maybe I don't remember. Sometimes I don't know the truth from a lie. I may have stole 10 packs of gum, but with inflation, I was like, $40 would do it. And that would probably, if I saw her, to give it to her and just say, hey, I want to make a real amends. I'm so sorry. That was harmful to you. It was hurtful to you. Here, go do what you want with it, and know that I was also a sick individual, and I am wanting recovery from food. And that's the reason I'm doing this, because I would like to have a recovery from food because I'm an addict. And but I haven't seen her. So I did see a single parent one time, and I asked, I was like, "Do you mind if I give your child this?" Because the girl was a single parent, and I know she was struggling. Maybe she didn't have enough money to buy gum. And I did that as a as just like to show that I am willing to do this work. I don't want to feel guilty about that anymore. I want to let that go. That's a part of stealing food, like stealing food. That's a part that I can clean the drawer, and I can say that no longer is a tool that I need in this life. And I don't need that anymore. I can clean it up, and then I can create space for joy, which is what I really want. I really want to be happy. I love being happy. I love having fun. I love doing fun things and having a lot of joy. And this program, lots of programs, lots of books, lots of people have contributed to that. Alrighty. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint and I'm gonna share. I sorry. I'm gonna share first and then go back to that. There we go. And all right. So step 4. So we're on our made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Coming back to just who we are without maybe without a lot of shame. If you've never worked the 4 step, take one thing that you're powerless over today, and on a small area of your writing paper, name the problem. Um, Name how the problem makes you feel. Ask yourself, is this really a problem? Is there a reason that I might be able to benefit? One thing that someone told me that was genius was, um, what did they say? Oh, that maybe it's not a shortcoming. Somebody told me, hey, maybe it's not a shortcoming. And I'm like, oh, it's a shortcoming. It's the worst sin that's ever been done by humankind. And they were like, well, maybe it's not. So, ask yourself, is it really a problem? Watch how you defend the problem. Can you remember at one point how you got a hit from this? Meaning where this served you. And sometimes also, whenever you're dealing with abuse and things like that, and when you're a kid, one thing my sweet sponsor told me, she said, because I was, like racking over things that I'd done when I was really young. The story that I told you about the bubble gum was when I was maybe 6. I mean, that was really young. And she told me something beautiful. She said, just don't even worry about it if you were under 23. And, she's like, if you were under 23, don't worry about it. And I have, obviously, because I'm telling you the story and I did the work on it or whatever, that's kind of judgmental or whatever. But the point to saying this is have a lot of grace for you if you're young. But remember, how did I get to this point? How did it serve me? Was it filling a mother and father role? Were you getting comfort out of this? Can you sink deeper into your inner self and see how this can be transformed even a little, right? And clearing out the desk, maybe you're not going to do the whole closet. Maybe you're not going to clean out all the closet, right? But maybe you can just take like a little thing and say, okay, there's like 7 books in there, and I'm going to get rid of 2 of them because I've got 900 books in my closet. So if you can see, can I transform this even a little bit? And for those of you who've worked a million 4 steps inventory and you're bored and just doing this to get some more recovery because we all need more recovery, um, how can your 4 step inventory add more joy to your life? How does this add value to your life? Don't use it as a tool to beat yourself up and to be hard on yourself, but instead, how can I add joy to my life? And I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing and I'll come back in 5 minutes.
Thanks for recovering with us.